Well, hello everybody. It is May 2nd, 2023 here on the Big CeeJ Sports Podcast. It is a Tuesday. It is a little late. I do apologize for the late start. Had a few things I needed to take care of, but we are good to go. Just want to go ahead and appreciate and thank all of you listening live or on repeat. Do greatly appreciate your viewership and your support. If you have not done so already, please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and also like this video as well. We have got a lot to get to. I hope the camera looks a little clearer today. I'm kind of testing a new setup. I was able to find a way where I can essentially use my phone as a webcam. So I'm hoping it looks much clearer to you guys. And I was also able to use the portrait mode, so it should blur out that I'm in my living room with a lot of baby stuff behind me. So I would just want to appreciate everybody for bearing with me there while we're kind of testing this whole new thing out here with the Big CeeJ Sports Podcast. Again, it was exclusively on call-in previously with audio only, but we have switched over to be able to have capabilities to do video and also to broadcast to multiple platforms. So I do greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, whether you are live or on repeat. If you are viewing live, please make sure to share the video as well with friends who you think may be interested. Or if you're watching on repeat as well, make sure to share with your friends on whatever platform you may be tuning into. But we've got a few things that I wanted to talk about today. The first is going to be, first of all, the NFL draft was fantastic. Top to bottom. It was extremely entertaining. Tons of trades. I think it broke a record for the most trades in an NFL draft in the history of the league. So obviously that's extremely exciting. Houston picking twice within the first three picks was not something I had on my bingo card for the draft, that's for sure. But they end up doing so with the second pick picking CeeJ Stroud, the quarterback, and with the third pick being able to pick up Will Anderson, the best player in the draft on defense. So excellent draft for them, as well as a bunch of other teams. You also obviously have the awesome story of Deuce Vaughn being able to be drafted to the Cowboys by his own dad, and that's just absolutely incredible. That interaction was fantastic to be able to see. Another thing, obviously, that we want to get to here is Steph Curry proving yet again why he's one of the greatest players in the history of the league. The Warriors backs up against the wall against a young, hungry, extremely talented Sacramento Kings team on the road in a Game 7, go into Sacramento and end up picking up the win. And Steph Curry only had 50 points. The most points ever in a Game 7 in NBA history. We all know how great Steph Curry is. If you don't mind now, you haven't watched a lot of basketball. He's a 4-time NBA champion, a 2-time MVP, 9-time All-Star. He's won the scoring title twice. Yet, for some reason, he still gets slighted, I would say, more than almost any star in the league. He gets doubted more than just about any star in the league. And I got to say, I'm sick of it. This guy deserves 100% of the praise that he receives, and then some. But, I mean, this is nothing new for Steph Curry, right? He's been doubted his whole career. He's been doubted his entire career. He's been told that he's too small. He was recruited, very, very lightly out of high school and went to a smaller school in Davidson College, where he just went on to become the greatest athlete that the college has ever seen. Took him to the Elite Eight in 2008, where they lost only to the eventual national champions Kansas Jayhawks that year. Then 6 teams decided to pass up on him in the draft. Falls to 7th, where Golden State ends up drafting him. Then he goes and averages 17.5 points and 6 assists as a rookie, and takes second in Rookie of the Year voting to Tyreek Evans, who no disrespect to him, is out of the league at this point. Every season going forward, he ends up improving, other than the years where he does have ankle issues, which did plague him early on in his career. But all he's done since then is the things I listed out before. Won a championship 4 times, led the league twice in scoring, made an all-star team 9 times, won 2 MVPs, if I didn't already say that. I mean, the list goes on and on. And he's developed a rivalry with arguably the best player in the history of this game, LeBron James. I just don't understand why people continue to doubt this guy. It's just baffling to me. LeBron James and Steph Curry have faced each other, and their teams have faced each other in the playoffs previous to tonight's Game 1 4 times. Steph has won 3 of them. And oh, by the way, all 3 of those were championships. The only loss he has is the 3-1 blown lead in the 2016 finals. Austin says, besides me. Those of you that don't know, Austin plays football at Davidson College. Who's a darn good FCS team, by the way. If you like FCS football or any college football, especially offense, I would watch Davidson. They're a lot of fun to watch. They run a version of the triple option out of the shotgun. It's very, very fun. Steph Curry and LeBron are about to face each other for a 5th time in the playoffs. And finally, they're in the same conference, so it's not going to be in the finals this year. They're both at a very different place, I think, in their career than the last time that they did face each other. You know, LeBron is obviously starting to reach the other side of the hill if he hasn't already done so. I think he has shown a few signs that he maybe is on that other side of the hill. Steph's getting there as well, pretty close. But you can argue that this is the best rivalry in NBA history between 2 players. And I know a lot of people are going to argue it's Magic and Bird, and that's totally fine. That's an extremely valid argument. But in the last decade, there hasn't been a more fun rivalry to watch, especially because they played each other in the finals 4 times, than Steph Curry's teams against LeBron James' teams. There just hasn't been. There's a level of greatness there that's so much fun. And this very may well be the last time we see them play each other in a playoff setting. And if that's the case, that's sad. I got to say, that's really sad. Because it's been fantastic. It really has been. But again, I will go on record and say LeBron James versus Steph Curry is the best rivalry that we have had in the NBA in NBA history. And that goes beyond even Bird and Magic. The level of greatness of these 2 guys matches or exceeds that of Magic and Bird. I'll go out on a limb and I'll say that. I 100% think that. And you don't have to agree with me. That's obviously the reason for this show, is to have a dialogue and talk about these things like that. But to me, LeBron James and Steph Curry is the best rivalry in NBA history. It's given us all that and then some. I was kind of doing research and looking stuff up, and I stumbled on a YouTube video that was an hour long of just Steph versus LeBron in a playoff setting. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I can't wait for tonight's Game 1 of that series. Does start at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I believe on TNT. I hope it's on TNT. I really, really think they do a great job there. And I also obviously love, EJ, Shaq, Charles, and even Kenny. But LeBron and Steph is the best rivalry in NBA history. I will go to the grave thinking that. Unless something magical comes along in the rest of my lifetime, which very may well happen. Who knows? For all we know, in the next few years, it could be, Giannis and Booker facing off in the finals multiple times, or, things of that. You never know. It could be Tatum and Booker. It could be Tatum and Giannis just in the Eastern Conference playing one another every year. There's a lot of different ways that it can go. But in my lifetime, and in my opinion, Steph and LeBron is the best rivalry in the history of the NBA. 100%. And part 5 is going to start tonight. Just want to take a little pause in the action in the conversation here. Thank everybody who is joining the conversation live or on repeat. If you have not done so, make sure to like and or subscribe, whichever platform you are watching from. Do greatly appreciate your viewership. And always, your comments and questions are welcomed in the comments or in the chat wherever you are watching the live stream or the repeat. But my main thing I wanted to get to today was that. Just how special this rivalry between LeBron and Steph Curry has been. Just so much fun. There's no other way to put it other than that. It's just two levels of greatness that are very rarely seen in sports. Repeatedly matching up with one another. I know a lot of people during the time where it seemed like it was Warriors Cavs every year in the finals were getting bored from it. I wasn't. I still am not. I would love to see a repeat of those finals again. Because although the Warriors did mostly have the upper hand, obviously except for the one season where the Cavs did come back from 3-1 down, I loved those finals. Because they were just so competitive and there was just so much talent between those two players. And then obviously, Kyrie and Klay when they were healthy in the finals as well. Then obviously you have the years of Kevin Durant. You throw him into the mix. It was just so much fun to see those matchups over and over again. But I really do think, and I know Denver has looked fantastic so far in that series against Phoenix. It has just been the first 2 games in Denver. They've essentially gone in and done what they need to do, which is win at home. But, I think a 2-0 deficit against Denver is going to be really tough for Phoenix to come back from, especially after losing Chris Paul, most likely for an extended period of time. Guy seems to not be able to make it through a deep playoff run, especially now that he's older. But it would not surprise me at all, even though, like I said, Denver has looked fantastic, if the winner of this series between the Lakers and Warriors comes out of the West. And I'll tell you why. Denver, although Jokic is a 2-time MVP and he is fantastic, he's not LeBron or Steph Curry. Not yet, he's not. He's awesome. Don't get me wrong. Jokic is incredible. But he's not LeBron or Steph Curry. He's not at that level. Now, he may very well get there by the end of his career. Who knows? But he's not at that level yet. And those two players, guys that are on that level like Steph and like LeBron, can carry their teams even more than Jokic has during the season this year. Speaking of MVPs, I do want to congratulate Joel Embiid on winning his first MVP. If it was up to me, I know I said a couple months ago my vote would have been for Jokic. That would have been who I would have gone for the third MVP of his career. But Joel Embiid is 100% deserving of this award. There were easily 2, maybe even 3 guys that were worthy of this award this year. And, it would have been, for me, it would have been... Sorry, I got my dog in the shot here. It would have definitely been Jokic, it would have been Embiid, and then it would have probably been Giannis as well, I think, were all three of those guys were more than deserving of an MVP award. But Joel Embiid does come away with it, and good for him. Very, very much deserved. Joel is honestly probably right now in the NBA the most unguardable player there is. I mean, that's probably the easiest way to put it. He's like as not nearly as dominant as Shaquille O'Neal was, but that same type of player where it's just impossible to guard them. And Shaq didn't have nearly the ability to, well, he didn't have any really of the ability to shoot from outside. And that just wasn't, part of the game really at that point either, having big guys shoot from outside, some of his career. But I mean, Joel Embiid has a post game that was almost just as good and dominant as Shaq's was, and he can step out to the 3-point line and hit those shots from outside as well. So he's essentially unguardable. And good for him for winning the MVP. Philadelphia looked fantastic even without him last night. James Harden looked like the Houston version of himself last night. 45 in the game winner. I mean, he was incredible. That's going to be a fun series. And Embiid should hopefully be back soon as well. Philadelphia looking very good in that series, which the matchup with Boston, I mean, honestly is a pretty good one for them. They do match up pretty well across the board. So we'll see if that continues. There is some action, I believe, going on right now in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I know Jimmy Butler is out for tonight's Game 2. Yep, it was the Heat and Knicks. And right now, it is Miami leading by 3 over the Knicks with about 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Honestly, I know the Knicks, did look good in that first round series. Cleveland was flat out awful most of the series, though. I will say that. But I do see Miami being able to probably still win that series, even if Jimmy Butler doesn't play or is not at 100%. Miami is very good. Miami's a solid team all across the board. They can really shoot the basketball. They can really, really defend. The key for them, I think, is going to be Bam Adebayo because he has been extremely inconsistent through these playoffs. And to me, in my eyes, a pretty big disappointment, honestly, as well. But, that's just kind of the way that it is sometimes in the playoffs. You have guys that just don't live up to their expectations. And you have guys like Jimmy Butler who seems to become the best player in the entire league during the playoffs. The run he's had in this first round and even game 1 against the Knicks has been ridiculous. Jimmy's always been an incredible playoff performer though his whole career. So not huge surprise to see him playing that well. But, you never know how that series is going to go. I mean, the Knicks, look, I don't think the Knicks are a bad basketball team by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't see the Knicks being able to consistently, be able to hang with a team like Miami. I was honestly surprised they were able to handle Cleveland as easily as it seems like they did. But man, that one is still baffling to me how bad Cleveland looked in that first round. You had Donovan Mitchell, who's one of the best scorers in playoff history, looked pretty good for maybe 2 of those games. Darius Garland looked good for 1 of them, and everybody else struggled for that team. We'll see what happens in Cleveland over the summer. I think that could be very interesting to look out for. Another thing we can touch on here, just because, obviously, guys, feel free to ask any questions or comments. It doesn't have to be NBA playoffs related. I know that's been the majority of the conversation today, or, it doesn't have to be Steph LeBron related. It can be NFL draft. It can be, obviously, baseball season is in full swing right now. The hockey playoffs are going on. I'll be perfectly honest, though. I have not watched almost any of it. I've looked at, the scores and things like that. occasionally, but I'm not a huge hockey guy. I really do try to get into it during the playoffs, especially, but I just haven't done so. But any questions or comments, always feel free to throw it in the chat or in the comment section there. If you are watching live right now or on repeat, you can always do that as well, and I'll do my best to get to the comment. But another thing we can get to, just kind of while we are waiting on questions or comments, there is this Dylan Brooks situation. I don't think he deserves a whole lot of camera time or a whole lot of attention, but I am going to give him a little bit right here because I do think it's worth talking about. Dylan Brooks has a season like he had this year, where he goes out and during the regular season shoots 39% from the field and 32% from three, and then has a defensive rating near 115, which if you didn't know is awful, like just straight up garbage. It's 45th in the league. That essentially means if he's guarding somebody, they're going to probably almost get whatever they want. Then, on top of that, you have his playoff antics of him saying, that he only pokes bears and that he doesn't respect anybody unless they drop 40 on him. And then goes out in the playoffs and plays even worse in the playoffs. Like, he goes out in the playoffs and shoots, I think it was 31% from the field and like 22 from three. And, oh, by the way, he gets ejected from game three, for hitting LeBron in the Jewels. Wasn't a factor all series long. Not one game did he have that was good. And it comes out today that Memphis essentially told him during, after the season was over, don't even bother coming back, we're not re-signing you. During the season this year, there were also reports that during the season, they offered him extensions, and he turned them down. I got to be perfectly honest with you, Dylan. I know that you're probably never going to see this, but you didn't take those offers from Memphis, and you're a free agent now. Who do you think is going to want to sign you? What does your market look like after how bad of a season you just had? And how terrible of a playoff run you had? What is your market, honestly, in the NBA? Which NBA team is going to want to sign you and pay you anywhere near the money that you think you're worth? I got to be honest, man. I'm looking through the league, and I don't see anybody that's going to want Dylan Brooks. I really don't. I don't see almost anybody. Memphis obviously doesn't want you anymore. I can't see any contending team that would, in their right mind, want to bring somebody like you onto their team. Heck, I don't even see a team that maybe needs, veteran presence wanting to come anywhere near you because of your attitude and because of just how inconsistent of a player you are. I got to be honest with you, Dylan. You should probably get ready to start looking overseas. You should probably get ready to start looking at Europe or China as very realistic possibilities of where you're going to be playing your basketball next season. Because I don't see anywhere in the NBA that's going to want to give you a chance next year. Not after the train wreck of a playoff run and as bad of a regular season as you had. Just my 2 cents. But I know if I was an NBA GM, I wouldn't want to get anywhere near Dylan Brooks right now. I wouldn't even be entertaining the thought of bringing him in. even if it's on like a minimum. I just don't see any benefit in bringing a guy like Dylan Brooks into the fold. All right, guys, we are just past 8:30 Eastern Time. We have been going here for about half an hour now. Checking in again on the Heat-Knicks score. It does look like the Heat are now leading by 5. That is very close to halftime. We look at the stats here on who is playing well in this game. Let's take a look here at the box score. For Miami, looking pretty balanced, but Caleb Martin's having a very good game with 12. Bam, we were talking about a minute ago, obviously is very important to this team. 7 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists in the first half. Not bad at all. R.J. Barrett having a very good game. Same with Julius Randle. R.J. Barrett was 16. Julius Randle with 15. Jalen Brunson, who is a little dinged up, is playing. He has 5 points so far. And the Knicks did just score to cut that one to 3. All right, everybody, if we do not have any additional questions or comments that you guys wanted to throw into the chat or the comments, thank you so much for watching this live. Or if you are watching it on repeat, please make sure, if you have not done so already, to like, follow, subscribe to the channel on whichever platform it may be. Comment and share this with your friends as well. Do greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. God bless and have a wonderful evening.